Yes, hi, Gwendolyn.
How are you? Yes, hi. Thanks for
Hi.
joining me here.
Yeah, this is so exciting.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you were actually the first to respond. And you got selected as the 1 hour standard reading person, so I'm glad we're doing this.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be exciting. So
Yeah.
So how do we respond, or how do we go about it?
I usually do five, in my standard readings, I usually do 5 different modalities. I do numerology, astrology, cards of destiny, love cards, and I finish up with a tarot reading.
Oh, okay.
So I was just going to launch into that with you.
Pardon?
I was just going to do the same format with you. Does that sound good?
It sounds wonderful.
Okay, great. So I have your birthday here, and I actually, if there's anything that you would rather me not share publicly, I'm happy to do that. You can just email me and let me know. But I'm recording this as a sample reading, so I'm hoping to share it with everyone. But if there's anything you'd like me to keep private, feel free to.
Okay.
I do have your day and month, so I can tell you what your personality number is numerology-wise, and I can tell you what your current year is in the 9-year cycle and your upcoming year. And then if you'd like me to get into further detail, you can give me your year of birth, but that's completely up to you.
Oh, well, it's 1960.
1960?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, great. So the first thing that I calculate is your personality number, and that is how you interact with other people on a surface level. In parallel to astrology, it's kind of equivalent to your ascendant or your rising sign. So it's how the outside world perceives you and how you interact with the outside world. And that is, I add 9 and 11. So 9 and 11 is 20, and then that boils down to a 2. So you're a 2 personality as your personality number. And what that means is that you tend to be a nurturer, supportive type. 2s are the caregivers, the resource people, the people who are handing the doctor the tools that they need in a surgery, or someone who's behind the scenes like a stage manager, people who are counselors, teachers. All nurturers or caretakers of any kind are 2 people. They like to help. That's a key word for 2s. So if you find yourself in a helping or supporting or wanting to provide nurturing or caretaking to others, that's generally your personality.
Okay.
And then your life path number, this is more of who you are internally or what you will need to fulfill your soul's fulfillment. That is you're a 9 on that level. So, and the way I'm getting that is I'm adding 9 and 11 and then 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 0. So you'll see that 20, you can add it any way that you like, but it boils down to a 9.
Okay.
And because you're a 9 life path number, the 9s are the humanitarians of the numbers. So in order to fulfill your life's purpose, you might want to look into some sort of humanitarian work. 9s are also great conflict resolution people or diplomats. 9s have the capability, because they're the composite of all the other numbers, those 1 through 9, they have an understanding, or they speak a common language to all the other numbers. So if there's other types of people who are in conflict, a 9 can step in the middle and say, okay, I can translate for the 2 of you, or I can find your common ground. They're peace builders, bridge builders, natural skills in diplomacy, natural skills in humanitarianism and philanthropy. So anything that would, say, benefit children or animals, or anything that unifies communities or unifies societies or the world, or anything to do with creating peace, creating harmony, creating understanding, bridge building, that's all 9 energy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. So you have a really, with these two elements, the 2 personality and the 9 life path, you have a lot of heart energy. 2 is of being of service, and 9 is creating peace or diplomacy, creating connections. So with that, I'm going to say that something in even nonprofit work, something in however it translates for you particularly, you're going to need to do something on a humanitarian level or benefit for many, whether it's even something like, participating in broadcasting of music or, anything that benefits society in general or unifies people is good work for you.
Great.
Yeah. So, and you do have this natural personality of wanting to help out. Like, if you see a project going on, you may have a hard time resisting helping out with it because that's naturally what 2s want to do. And then the 9 really wants to see peace. Like 9 really will put forth effort to make that happen. We all go through cycles of 9 years. And we each have a personal year that goes from our birthday to our following birthday. So you're at the you actually have a very significant year that's happening for you right now, this year.
Okay.
You are in the middle of your 9 year. Your current year you're in a 9 year. So you're at the tail end of a 9 year cycle. That began for you on 9/11/2014. Because that was your birthday last year, and your birthday this year is yet to come. So your 9 year began September 11th last year, and then it will complete in September 11th of this year, 2015. Okay. So 9 years are the wrapping up of a cycle, and what the 9 year represents is letting go. The image that I use is that there's a couple images I use. The 9 year cycle is sort of like when you're in your 1 year, you're in a fertile valley where it's, all tiny little grass shoots coming up, and then you climb a mountain all the way through the 8 year, and then the 9 year is like crossing over that mountain and coming back down. So it's a year of letting go. It's a year of review. It can be both celebratory, as in you've completed something, but can also sometimes be bittersweet, depending upon how willing we are to let go of this prior cycle. So it's kind of like when the rose is planted, a seed is planted in the 1 year. In the 8 year, it blooms. It comes to culmination, to fulfillment. And then the 9 year is when the petals start falling off. Okay. So, and I also use the image of an 8 year is when a play is performed. Like if the 1 through 8 year is when everyone's learning and rehearsing their lines and all the preparations are happening. The 8 years when everything happens. Play is performed, you reach the top of the mountain, and then the 9 years is sort of like the party after the play. So you're saying goodbyes, but it's also celebratory. It's like after a graduation. So that's kind of your energy for this year. You're wrapping if you look back to 8 years ago, what you had begun then, you've completed that cycle, and now you're letting go of that, and you're going to be beginning a new cycle on your birthday this year. It's going to be a 1 year.
A 1 year, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the way I'm getting that, just to let you know, is I'm adding your day, your month, 9 and 11, and then adding it to 2015. So that's where the resonance of the year comes in. And what happens in a 1 year is that everything starts anew. It's like being a newborn babe again, where everything is all sights and sounds. Sometimes people experience a feeling of who am I in a 1 year, because everything that is old and trusted and that things that resources that you use, that all falls away. Everything that used to work doesn't work anymore. It's like learning a new language. So it can be very unsettling. It also has the feeling of standing on one foot, because it's got that one energy. It's sort of like the one isolated newborn everything is fresh, everything is new, everything is, I'll say for lack of a better word, foreign, because it's got all that new energy, and it can kind of feel also like you're floating at sea. People in their 1 year often have questions of like, what am I doing? What's my purpose? Who am I now? You know, because when you complete a whole cycle, then it's like starting on a new journey. And it's a good year to ask where do I want to set my sails? What direction do I want to head in? It's not necessarily a great year for making decisions because you're still collecting information, you're still collecting sights and sounds and dreams. It's a great year for dreaming, actually, and writing down your dreams.
Nice. Yeah,
but I just will say that sometimes the 1 year can be just a who am I kind of year. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? It's a year of planting seeds, dreaming dreams, taking in information as though you're an infant. It's that Buddhist feeling of beginner's mind.
Okay.
So if there's something that's feeling this year that you're letting go of something, or you're needing to complete something, or that you're ready for a change, that's all inherent in a 9 year.
Okay.
So if there's something that life is forcing you to let go of, understand that this is the right timing for that. That's what the theme of this year is. You're wrapping things up. And sometimes it may take longer than it. Sometimes people experience in a 9 year, I want to move on to the next thing. But 9 is actually that time it's a good time to review the last 8 years. What have you learned? What has worked for you? What has not worked for you? Treasuring memories, writing down things that meant a lot to you. It's just a good time to celebrate and let go, is what I always tell people in their 9 years.
Perfect. Okay.
Great.
Hi.
Did you have any questions about any of that, or want me to go into any more detail about any of those things?
No, I don't think so. But some aspects I do see that could be true in my life, but we shall see in the new beginning. So hopefully it'll go well, the new cycle, right? So
yeah. Yeah, the new cycle is always a great time to, I even say write down what it is that you want or where you want to go. You still have a couple months before that new one energy is going to be entering in. So after your birthday this year, that's when the fresh new energy comes in. That's when everything becomes new. So take the next couple months to just really wrap things up, look back, review these past 8 years, celebrate any memories that happened during that time, and take stock of what you learned, and then get ready for the new fresh cycle to begin after your birthday this year.
Perfect. I will definitely do that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and if you feel wobbly after your birthday and feel a little like nebulous or hazy, or like, how come I'm not understanding things? I don't really know. Understand that's a common reaction to the 1 year, because it's sort of like being born as a baby again. It's both exciting and wonderful, because it's like everything is new. Everything, babies wonder at everything, but it can also be like, I don't have the same power that I used to have. I don't have the same faculties. How come when I always used to do this, it went like this? And it's just sort of like it's rising up to the next level.
Gotcha.
So okay. Adjustment. And
nice.
Then,
And then go ahead.
It's wonderful.
Sorry.
Oh, not at all. So the next thing I usually look at is the astrology. I see that you're a Virgo for September 11th. And then I'm going to type in, I'm just creating your chart here now that I have the year. Do you happen to know where it is that you were born, or would you like to share that? If not, it's okay. I can still cast your chart. It just gives me more detail.
Milwaukee.
Okay, so Milwaukee. Yeah. Okay. Let me just pull that up. And So you have a sun sign, your sun sign Virgo, and then your moon is in Gemini, and then it also looks like your ascendant is Virgo. So what I'm seeing with your chart is you have a lot of planets in your 10th house. That's the house, you're a rising sign Scorpio. I spoke wrong there. You're a sun sign Virgo, moon is in Gemini, and you're a rising sign Scorpio. So interesting. Scorpios can hold, what your rising sign Scorpio tells me is, again, like the numerology, rising sign or ascendant is how you come off to the world, or sometimes people think that you're that sign, or you can have traits of that sign. So you can hold a secret, or you can have a little bit of mystery to you.
Right.
Scorpio is the sign of mystery and transformation. So, but I'm seeing a lot of planets in your 10th house, and what that tells me, 10th house is the natural ruling house of Capricorn and outer external world. Sometimes it's concerned with my place in the world, or status, or occupation, or fame. So 10th house kind of gives you, your sun in your 10th house, along with all these other planets, Pluto and Mercury, convey, and it's also where a lot of the other energy in your chart is pointing to. There's a lot of both conjunctions and squares that are having to do with your 10th house. So there's a lot of energy pointing to your 10th house, which is occupation, status, your role in the world. So there's something, and as a Virgo, Virgos are analytic. You have good mind faculties. You're ruled by Mercury. So you often can be very good, like literary critics or food critics. Virgos are good at getting into details and saying, let's arrange those frames on the wall so they're not tilted, or they can be really into laws and order and regulations, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. You see details that other people don't see as a Virgo. So you can get into fine-tuned things. But you communicate, and it's funny, I'm seeing with your Mercury in Virgo, that's also, Mercury is a great messenger. So you may have some sort of writing capability here, or I'm going to say you may have capabilities as a critic or a reviewer of some sort. You may even be able to write articles about, I'm thinking in terms of your 9 humanitarian life path, that you may have something to do with like writing articles or observation or journalistic capabilities. If you've ever been drawn to writing, you may have skills there. You also have Pluto in Mercury, which Pluto is the one that drives us for dramatic change. So with all this detail work, you may be able to like write laws that change things dramatically. You might actually have skills in doing things legally that benefit society, or drafting or speaking towards that. You could even be a speaker towards bettering society. I'm just seeing a lot of language with Mercury in Virgo and your sun's in Virgo. You have a lot of capability for detail, so that's sort of pointing me towards law. I don't know if you have any interest in that. You also have Moon in Gemini. So what that means is that you have a very flexible mind. Gemini is very, very intelligent, but skips from one topic to another. So you may have a hard time staying solid on one course of action, or your feelings. You may, because Moon guides our feelings and our subconscious, you may experience a lot of changing emotions that happen rapidly, or you may feel like sometimes your mind is guiding your emotions, or it's changing channels often. But a lot of your planets are in fourth quadrant here, which speaks to higher learning, higher spiritual development. But everything's pointing to this 10th house. So 10th house traditionally is government, 10th house is authority. 10th house is it's all those Capricornian traits of climbing to the top of the mountain, dominance. I'm also going to tie this in. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because you are King of Clubs, birth card-wise. That's September 11th. King of Clubs is the master of the throne of fire. So I know that's kind of a funny way to put it, but it's the King of Fire. And I'm going to explain an example of who are also King of Clubs are John Lennon, Walt Disney. I'm trying to think of another good example, Mozart. So King of Clubs is a pretty heavy-duty figure. So you have the potential to become quite an authority on something. And you may not like to hear from others giving you direction. That's one of the effects of being a king. Kind of gives you a strong personality. But it also means that people look to you for authority, or you have the capability of commanding great authority. So, and King of Clubs is same as King of Wands or King of Rods. It's King of Fire. So the thing about King of Clubs is that it sits in the cards of destiny spread in two ways. In the life path, it's in the Uranus line. It's double Uranus, which is the rebel, the reawakener, the revolutionary. So if you think of the archetypes of like Walt Disney or Mozart's a great example. King of Clubs is bold, charismatic, does things in their own unique, eccentric way, and isn't afraid of shaking things up. They can often be very inventive and creative because they don't follow the rules of convention necessarily.
Right.
So does that speak to you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. And that's King of Clubs, and that's actually an asset for you. So I would say embrace that. Do things your own way. The reason we have the wonderful music of Mozart and the wonderful contributions of fantasy that Walt Disney brought us, and John Lennon is another great example. The reason we have those innovative ideas were because they were willing to be rebellious. John Lennon threw a lot of things back in the face of society and said, no, look, this is different. I'm going to do it my way. And because of that, we have contributions that have enriched the lives of many. So I would say always pursue what it is that you do that is unique, charismatic, bold, original. That's King of Clubs energy. And you have King of Clubs is very strong because you can become an authority in pretty much any field you choose. King of Clubs has that position. And you're very reliable in terms of when you commit to something, you can be relied upon to carry it through. Your moon in Gemini may give you a little trouble with that because Gemini wants to change channels a lot. But you're Virgo, so Virgo is very work-oriented. Duty, obligation can follow things through. Your sun is in your 10th house. That speaks to work and accomplishment. And King of Clubs is also master of fire, so master of activity, master of, going forth and conquering something. So you have all these things that are pointing you towards a high level of achievement. The one thing that you may come into challenge with is that for people of the same sex, like other females, they may have a hard time with you as a king because sometimes people have a hard time viewing women as like kings and masters of authority, but you do have that realm. Or there may be times where you have a hard time working underneath someone else because as a natural king, you have a hard time receiving orders or receiving direction. Does that speak true for you? Yep. Yeah. Okay. So really, a good way out of that is to find ways that you can embody authority or your own command, or because you have that natural skill. King of Clubs has natural ability. And if you take on a career or a task, you have the ability to like go to the top with it. And you with that 10th house, sun in the 10th house, or all the planets that you have in the 10th house, that really speaks to external, outer worldly success or accomplishment, especially.
Oh, good. That's exciting because I want to do something. So that's good.
Yeah. Keep in mind that with your 9 life path number, it has to be something that benefits humanity, or it has to do with conflict resolution, diplomacy, communications between others. It could have to do with something related to the law if it is something where you are, say, drafting grants.
That wouldn't be me.
Sorry, that wouldn't be you? Okay.
No. Remember, I'm a few clubs.
Okay. All right. It could be. It's just definitely going to have to be something where it's benefiting humanity on a larger scale in order to fulfill you. You can still be successful in other pursuits because of your King of Clubs, your planets in the 10th house, your Virgo commitment to work. You can still be very successful in those areas, but you won't be fulfilled by it. The 9 life path number and the 2 personality number tells me you could have great success, but it might be empty. Like if you were to do something where it was just serving yourself or serving those around you, that won't be fulfilling. You have to serve or benefit. I'll use that word. Lots of people.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. I'm seeing there's a major opposition between Jupiter and Mars in your chart. So you've got Mars in Gemini, and Mars usually speaks to a couple of things. Mars is the planet of action and war and drive and where you're willing to go forth. So Mars being in Gemini. Gemini is a mental sign, so you may have a lot of abilities to have a very active mind. To have, it's got the extra charge, it's got the extra fire. You may have a lot of thoughts that sort of rage against one another, or you may have some conflict in your mental state as far as having things that you may war between different types of ideas. But it's balanced. You've got this Jupiter in Sag, which Jupiter loves to live in Sag. It's very comfortable there, and Jupiter is the house of expansion. So, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and in Sagittarius, that's even more so. That's like I want to go out and explore. I want to travel. I want to explore the different realms of knowledge. But because there's this opposition between Jupiter and Mars, that gives a little bit of tension towards I've got this expansive feeling on things, but Mars is opposite that. So there's a little bit of on one hand wanting to explore different cultures, different religions, different things out in the world, but sometimes your mind doesn't let you go there. Sometimes you get caught up in your own mind, so that can be limiting. But otherwise, most things, you've got a lot of trines with your 10th house here, so that's telling me you still have even if you can overcome the inner battles in your mind that you have a lot of opportunity for success. That 10th house is just lit up. And then you also have Venus in Libra, which tells me you have a taste. Venus represents the things that we love, sensual pleasures, music, food. It's basically all the sensuality of life. And that's in Libra, which really likes fine, glamorous things. So that tells me you can have a love of like fine materials, glamorous settings, going out to the theater, that sort of thing.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm seeing too, and it looks like Venus, I'm just checking this out, it looks like Venus is trine your moon. So that's a nice, comfortable aspect there too. But So did you have any questions about that, or did you want me to go into any further detail about King of Clubs and what that means, or any of the astrology part of it, or any areas that you'd like me to go into detail before I go into the next part?
I think you explained it all. I think pretty good. Yeah.
Great. All right, so I'm going to say a little bit more about what's going on with Cards of Destiny for you before we go on to the tarot reading.
Okay.
And that is this year, just like our personal year in the numerology, we have a personal year in the Cards of Destiny. And right now, the card that is governing you, or that's governing your environment, for lack of a better word, as a King of Clubs is the Three of Spades. So for this particular, you'll always be a King of Clubs birth card. That's your birth card. That's you. But then this year's card is the Three of Spades. And the Three of Spades is known as the artist card. So Three of Spades is all about creativity. So this can be a very creative year for you. The high side of the three is creativity in work. It's anything that has to do with the arts or expression, writing, dancing, painting, being an actor, anything that has to do with outward expression. However, the low side of any three in the Three of Spades is that it can also present as indecision or worry or anxiety. So that three energy can go one of two ways. It's either creativity, expression, any sort of outward spontaneity. It can mean attending parties, but mostly it's about expression, dance, poetry, literature, any of the arts. But if you don't find a way to channel your creative outlets, it may present as indecision, anxiety, tension. So usually when I see threes come up for people, I always say it's your choice. Are you either going to go into or spend time in indecision, worry, and tension, or are you going to channel that energy into creativity and spontaneity and expression? So that's really your choice.
Okay, I'd rather choose creativity.
Well, it's basically like sometimes Three of Spades can also mean like working two jobs or one or more jobs. So it just means like a dispersion of attention, and that sometimes people go into debate upon things, but other times people are just like, oh wow, I'm painting here and I'm writing this and I'm doing all these creative things. So it can be a very positive card, depending upon how you direct it. So if you feel any anxiety this year or indecision, just do something creative, and that helps alleviate the three energy.
Oh, thank you for that advice. Okay.
Yeah. It can also pop up because it's spades. It can pop up in your health or physicality. Sometimes Virgos tend to take their stress and sublimate it into their bodies because you're a earth sign. So, and sometimes Virgos can have a nervous energy. It's that Mercury, Quicksilver energy. And so sometimes you can actually get like indigestion, and it usually shows up for you guys in your stomachs or your intestines, having to do with that. So if you find yourself in that kind of stressed out, if you find it showing up in your body, especially in your digestion, creativity is a great way to redirect that energy.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because Virgos are notoriously like picky eaters, and have some sort, because you have such a, if you think of it as like a refined machine, refined mind, it's kind of got like sensitive elements. So you guys can tend to be picky eaters, nervous, but it's all because you have such like fine tools. Like you could see the details on things. That's why you guys make good critics, good food critics, art critics. You can see the fine detail on things.
Gotcha.
What else? Okay. Do you have any other questions? There's one other thing that I would like to go into before we do the tarot reading, and that is that you have each of our years is divided up into 52-day periods that are governed by each planet. Right now you're in the Uranus period, and that started on May 30th, and that's going to go for another little while here till July 21st.
Okay.
And you are in your 5 of Hearts phase, or period, which is 52 days. So that's 5 of Hearts represents feeling emotionally restless. So so from the end of May 30th till, another week or so here, you may feel like you want something to change. It also works with your 9 year that you're in. It's sometimes saying, I'm feeling dissatisfied. I either want to change my location, I want to change jobs, I want to change out of this relationship. Sometimes we see divorces or breakups happen with the 5 of Hearts, because 5 means change and Hearts means what we love, or our emotions. So changeable emotions, feeling restless, feeling like I want out, I want a change here. That can often happen. It sometimes means you're traveling, like taking a trip somewhere else or moving to a new home. It could also be very social. So 5s is it's change, transformation, going out and being an inquisitor. So you have a lot of energy right now for going out and meeting new people, attending parties, and asking questions. Like, it's sort of what I see as a journalist card. But if you are feeling restless, that will probably change up for you after the 21st of this month. But it's a good time. Like, if you're feeling like I need to change something, sometimes going out and talking to other people can help you dissipate that 5 energy. Because that's the high side of it, is being social and asking questions and going out and sort of stirring things up, but not necessarily leaving other things behind. But you may want to do that. I mean, that may be a situation that you want to change, and that often happens during these times.
Okay.
And then after the 21st, you're transitioning into your Jack of Spades. That's going to go that's going to be the next 52 days. And that is, Jacks are always creative, playful, romantic. They're always like balancing energies. So it's one of the most creative cards in the whole deck. So again, it ties in with your 3 of Spades for this year. Really good time to be creative. Really good time to express yourself in whatever way that comes for you. Whether it's speaking, writing, dancing, poetry, arts, music, being a DJ, publishing, writing, all those outlets are very, very good to do, I'd say, in the next 2 months, especially.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep, because that's when that Jack of Spades energy is going to be there, and it's still under your 3 of Spades yearly influence.
Yeah, that's good, because I love to play poker. That's my thing.
Oh,
so.
Great.
That's
wonderful.
what I do. And you said beginnings and endings, and I just decided to move on to bigger and better games. And that was one of my questions too. You're going to feel that. Sorry, it was one of your questions that what? I missed the last part of how that's going to go this year, because I just decided to make that transition, that moving on to bigger and better games.
It's perfect timing for it.
Tournaments. Yeah, it's for tournaments. I do tournaments.
You will. Especially after your birthday this year, because you're heading into your 1 year, is really the best time when you're gonna start something new. So it's perfect timing to start something new. What I will say is that your first year into that, you may feel out of your element. You may feel like, what did I do? Who am I now? How does this work? It may feel, that feeling when you start learning how to drive a car?
Yeah.
It's going to be that experience. So what your choice to do it is good. In other words, learning to drive the car takes you to a whole new level, opens up a whole new world. However, that first exposure, the first time, it's all that one energy, beginner's mind. They also say beginner's luck, so, maybe it's going to happen for you that way too. But understand that even if in this first year after your birthday of starting that new phase, if it feels unfamiliar, if you feel out of your element, if you feel anything like that, stay with it. Just understand that that's the new infant energy. It's like trying on a new pair of shoes.
Maybe the tarot cards will say something, but
yeah, we're gonna look at that now. So unless you have any more questions about any of what we've talked about so far, do you have anything that we'd like to look at before we go on to that?
I don't think so. I think that's I wanted to know how that was going to go with my poker tournaments this year.
Yeah, I'd say it's a great time for beginning something new, especially after your birthday in September. But understand in that first year, it may feel like learning how to drive a new car. It may feel like, okay, all these things that I knew worked, all these sort of feathers in my hat. I'm starting afresh. So give yourself some time and space to adjust. Is what I'll say.
Okay.
So with the tarot reading, I usually offer my clients a choice between decks. I have the traditional Rider-Waite deck, which is classical imagery. It's the standard for tarot card decks. And then I also have one that's more modern, which is the Morgan Greer deck, and that's the one I do in my videos. It's sort of more illustrative, more vibrant. It's just a little bit closer up with vibrant color. So I usually offer the choice between the two of those.
I guess the Rider-Waite, that sounds good.
It's funny. I was feeling that one for you.
Okay, that's funny.
So we're both on the same page on that one. All right. So what I do with the readings is I ask that while I shuffle, that you focus on what you'd like to inquire into. I ask that you not tell me, but that you focus on a question or an area of inquiry that you'd like to look into. And what I suggest is that you focus not on words specifically or specific question, but focus on what images and emotions come up for you while you ask that. And focus on that while I shuffle, and then let me know when you feel like the cards are ready. There's no amount of correct length of time, but whenever you feel like they're ready, just let me know.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
Right there. Okay, great. So I'm going to lay out the cards, and then tell you which ones are in which positions, and then explain what it means.
Okay.
So we've got the Tower is your central card. Very interesting. Okay, wow, that's very interesting. Queen of Wands came up as your challenge card. So you've got your central card is Tower, and then your challenging card or your challenges that you're facing is Queen of Wands. That what you bring to the situation is the Sun.
Is what? The Sun? Oh, good.
The Sun, Major Arcana card, yes. And Tower's Major Arcana as well. Your crown or your opportunity is Ace of Cups. What is passing away is Six of Swords. The influence that's approaching is the Devil. And I'll tell you more about that when I get into the explanations. You in this situation is Eight of Cups. Your environment is Four of Cups. Your hopes and fears is Five of Cups. And then the outcome is Two of Wands. So I'm going to talk about the central situation first. This is sort of like the center of what you're inquiring into. Tower in reverse is your main card, and it's crossed by Queen of Wands. Tower in reverse, Tower usually represents something that's sudden, something that shakes up our world. In the imagery of the card, it's a tower that's being struck by lightning. and the crown is falling off the tower and people are jumping out of the towers. It's very strange, interesting imagery for someone born on 9/11. I'll say that event was completely tower energy.
Oh my.
Okay, so 9/11.
Yeah.
You think about it. It's kind of an intense card. But what it also means is something is changing. Something is, and it actually works with your 9 culmination year. It means like the end is the end. That's being swept away completely. That's ending, and it may end suddenly and drastically. Is what Tower tells me. And the fact that it's crossed by Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is an attractive, confident woman who like knows her own mind. Cher, for example, is a Queen of Wands birth card. So I use her as an example. Very sort of, I'm willing to show the world myself. I can laugh at myself. She's usually very like happy-go-lucky, goes after what she wants. And the fact that that's your challenge card, that's your crossing card, it's telling me that you may be having a hard time feeling like you're embodying that, or there's something about that is forming a challenge to you. It could also mean that there's someone who is in that position who represents Queen of Wands that's giving you a hard time, or that may be causing this whole upside down turn of your world. So that's either you in a situation, or things of Queen of Wands that are challenging you, like feeling challenged in your own power, or feeling challenged in your own boldness, your own willingness to present yourself completely openly and boldly to the world. So what it also says to me in terms of birth cards, it tells me that you may be having some challenge or hesitancy in stepping into your King of Clubs role, because she's the feminine embodiment of that King of Clubs. Okay. So whatever it is that you are not wearing the crown on, in both of these images there's a crown. There's the Queen of Clubs in the conflict role wearing the crown, and in the tower the crown is falling off the tower. So there may be some way in which you are having a hard time wearing a crown in whatever aspect this is. So but there's dramatic changes happening for this person right now, is what I'll say. That's tower energy. What you bring to the situation, or to the whole dynamic that's happening, is Sun. And Sun is a little baby on a horse, he's naked, he's full of self-acceptance. The sun is shining. There's sunflowers blooming. So that's completely like I'm in the middle of my world shining forth. However, because this is in reverse, this is telling me there's some part of you that's feeling blocked. Sun is just great energy regardless of where it appears or if it's in reverse or not. It's just a beneficial card regardless. But because it's in reverse, it's telling me there may be some way in which your self-acceptance is being blocked, or your radiance, your natural radiance, or your natural vibrancy is being suppressed. Or it may speak to self-doubt. I'm not sure. But there's some way in which you bring a lot of this to the table, but that there is some sort of shadow or being suppressed or blocked that is in play. The opportunity and what the crown, what you can step into, and this is a beautiful card for this position, is Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups is love. I always call it my cup runneth over. In the imagery, there's a hand being handed, a hand with a cup coming out of the ethers, out of the sky, with water overflowing over the edges. So it's really a card of my cup runneth over, something that you love, something that your heart is complete, because cups represent the heart energy. It's something that your heart is completely into. It's like, and because it's an ace, it's a new beginning. So it's the beginning of something that you love. Sometimes it can be a relationship. Sometimes it can be a work endeavor that you love. Sometimes it can be a new passion for something. But what this is telling me is that you have the opportunity to begin something that you love. You have the opportunity to step into that. The world is handing you that. Okay. So that's where you can head. If you're having any, because of Queen of Wands in conflict and Sun in reverse, if you have any doubts or any blocks to optimism, any blocks to confidence, that's a huge thing right now for me. I'm seeing you're maybe having a block of confidence. Ace of Cups is saying you have the opportunity to have your heart completely filled. But there may be challenges towards that for you right now. That's what it's saying. Okay. What is passing away is Six of Swords. Now, Six of Swords is someone who is ferrying, it's a man in a boat, and he's ferrying a mother and a child away from turmoil. So this is often a card of travel. It's often a card of recovery. It's often a card of going from stormy seas to calmer seas. So there may be a way in which you can either identify with the person being helped or the person who's helping take them away to calmer seas, or it can even mean that you're going to be doing less traveling this year, or that you may have been spending time recovering from something, and that recovery is going to be wrapping up. Or if there's been something over the last 9 years that you've struggled with that you're recovering from, or you've gone from one place to another, that's going to be completing. Okay. And maybe it may have been that you were coming from stormy seas and are now finally arriving at those calm shores. It's hard to say, but that's what Six of Swords energy is all about. What's approaching for you is the Devil card, and that can mean a number of different things. You've got a lot of major arcana stuff happening, both with Tower and with Devil and with Sun. Really intense energies. Devil means temptation. It means passion. It can sometimes mean bondage, in other words, feeling trapped. But it can also mean being inflamed with a passion for something. What it warns of is don't become trapped in something that is only superficially fulfilling. So in the image of the Devil card, there's two people who are in chains, and they're loose enough where they can just take them off. So what it's saying is, what the Devil card often says to me is, be careful of believing in false truths. Whenever you believe in something that's false or a lie or something that is not, when you fall for something, or when something is in more control than you are, that's what the Devil's card is about. It's saying, I am addicted to something, I am compulsive about something, something else is in control. Okay. So, but it could also just mean passion, too. So it could mean throwing yourself really into the ring of something. What it's saying is, beware of becoming a slave to it. So that's Devil energy. Okay. Any questions on any of those so far?
The Tower, it could be a good thing, right? The change?
Absolutely. Yeah. Tower, if you think about it, can be like I'm being freed from jail. It can be, I've been in this prison and the universe breaks me out of it. I see. So it's just dramatic, sudden change. It's the breakdown of all the old ways and into a new, it can be it's very sudden though, and it's very dramatic. It's very intense. It's like,
that my image had something to do with that, so.
Okay. That's definitely happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Be careful. What the Devil approaching says is, be careful that you don't become enslaved or believe in something that's false. That's what I'm going to leave you with on that one.
Okay. All right.
What you have coming up in your next four cards, it's a lot of Cups energy, so a lot of emotion. Eight of Cups in reverse. This tells, Eight of Cups is an image of a man walking away from 8 stacked cups. So something that I always say a lot of TLC has been put into. It's usually something that you've loved. It's something that you've established, usually like a home or a career or a relationship. You're willing to walk away. And he's feeling like, I'm weary of this old thing. It's time to go. It's time to move on to a new journey. That's you in the situation. So you're feeling ready for something new. You're feeling like I've put a lot of time and energy and investment and built this thing, but it's time to go. It's time to move on to something new. It works with your 9-year, works with your 5 of Hearts, restless energy. 9 of Cups is definitely like 8 of Cups is I'm willing to walk away now, even from this thing that I've built that I love. Your environment, this is very interesting to me. Your environment is 4 of Cups, and what your environment is that the universe is handing you a cup, something that you love, handing something having to do with your heart. But in 4 of Cups, he's not seeing it. There's a figure seated at a tree with 3 cups in front of him, and he's so focused on what he's looking at in front of him that he doesn't even see what the universe is handing him. I'm also going to echo and stress the fact that this is your opportunity card. This is your crown card. Is that Ace of Cups, the cup that's being handed to you from the universe. So what I'm going to say is that what is being handed to you that's going to fulfill you, be sure to see it. You're not going to see this one coming. You're not. It's not going to come from an expected place. Your focus on the 3 of Cups, your environment is that you're focused on the 3 of Cups in front of you. This is going to come from the sky. This is going to come from, you have to like almost lift your head up to see this one. Don't miss opportunities that are being handed to you, is what 4 of Cups says. And especially as the Ace of Cups is your opportunity crowning card, that's what's going to fulfill you. You may not recognize it when you see it. There may be something that's handed to you and you think, oh, this isn't anything. And it really is what's going to fulfill your heart. So that's going to be a huge thing I'm going to underline for you because it's showing up in 4 of Cups and Ace of Cups. Your hopes and fears card. Your next card is the card of both hopes and fears, and this is 5 of Cups. Something that you're hopeful and fearful of is 5 of Cups represents there's 3 cups spilled in the foreground. And it's a card of mourning and isolation and grieving and like when someone's sort of crying over the spilt cups and, if it's a love or it's an emotional reaction of grief of like what I've lost. And then behind him are 2 cups that are still standing. So there's a lesson in this card is that if you're able to turn around and see what you still have or see that there still is love available to you or what it is that fills your heart, there's still 2 cups standing, but sometimes the figure is only seeing the spilled cups in the foreground. So these 2 cards, both showing up for you, 5 of Cups and 4 of Cups, I'm going to say one of the things that's going to be important for you is to not just focus on what is in front of you. That's what both of these cards are doing. And I think there may be, with the 5 of Cups, that can tell me that there may be a fear of isolation or grief or losing everything. But also there's a desire to receive what's in both of these cards. There's something being given to you. There's something still standing. So there's also that desire. There's that hope that something's going to be given to me. So you will miss it if you just focus on what's in front of you. If you just focus on what has been. It's kind of like you're going to need to be open to receiving something that looks different and new from what it's been before. And then the 2 of Wands is your outcome. This is a great card of personal power. 2 of Wands is a figure of a man with 2 staves, and he's holding literally the world in his hands and looking at the world. So it's a card about personal power, again, boldness. It's saying, I am willing to just be who I am. I'm willing to just go out there and do my thing. It's a lot of this Queen of Wands energy. It begins with this 2 of Wands. So if you think of Ace all the way through King, the troubles and the struggles and the boldness and the courageousness and the just sort of being yourselfness that Queen of Wands embodies, it's in your challenge position right now. It begins with having this sort of feeling of the world is my oyster. That's what this 2 of Wands says. He says, This is who I am. This is I can do anything I want. So, and he's considering, like, what do I want to do? This is going to be a card that I'm going to ask you to look up, to look further into it, because this is your outcome card. So 2 of Wands is personal power, courageousness, boldness, and that's your outcome card. So that's a very good one. It's all about personal power.
Okay.
So strengths, I'll say, for this reading are you do have that sun energy. You do have something that you're leaving behind with the recovery from the 6 of Swords. You do have this personal power that you're going to come out of this with. However, and you do have like this new beginning. The world is handing you something new that's going to fulfill your heart. The challenge is that you don't want to get stuck. The challenge is you don't want to just focus on what is, what has been, what's always going to be the same, what's right in front of me. And you don't want to become a slave to anything. You don't want to believe in what's not true. But you are willing to walk away from something. You do have this wonderful, something's definitely changing in a big, intense way for you.
What do you think it is?
Well, that the cards won't tell me. All it's saying is that the Tower just speaks to dramatic, sudden change. The fact that it's conflicted by Queen of Wands tells me it may have something to do with your confidence or your boldness or how you perceive yourself. But what I do see is that you're going to come out of it ultimately with 2 of Wands, which is personal power. But it may be quite a ride to get to it.
Oh. Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
I don't know, I guess. I mean, yeah, I have no clue though what it has to do with. I mean,
well, what I'm saying is that the universe, because you've got this Ace of Cups as your opportunity and it's your environment card, the universe is providing you with this new beginning that is fulfilling to your heart. You're not gonna see it if you look for it in the same places you've always looked for it. Right. If you focus on just the foreground, you're gonna miss it.
Okay.
And there's something right now that you're very willing to walk away from. This 8 of Cups in reverse says, you spent a lot of time and energy in developing something. It's either career, home, relationship, or whatever it is that you've been investing a lot of sweat and tears towards. You're like, I'm done with that. I want to go on to this next thing. I want to go on to this next level, this next journey. But if you focus on just what's in front of you and doing the same things, this is also to do with your 9 cycle happening. It's not going to work for you in this new realm. You're going to have to do things differently, and you're going to have to look at things from a different perspective than you've seen them in before. And you're going to have to challenge that sense of confidence, or willing to be yourself, willing to really show up as you, and being truthful about it and being like, this is really me. And that's where this personal power 2 of Wands is going to come out. That's where your outcome is going to happen, where you feel like, okay, now the world is in my hands. So does that make sense, or explain it a little bit more?
No, I think that's good. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, Yolanda, I think that's our reading. I think we're coming up in an hour. Do you have any questions or comments for me before we wrap up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I was wondering if I'm attending an event, and if I think of the event, would it be possible to pull a card on that event?
Sure, absolutely. Okay.
I'll think of the event. I won't tell you. So.
Yeah, good. Okay.
All right.
All right, right there. Okay. The card that I'm getting is 9 of Cups. So, yeah, that's wish fulfillment.
Wow.
So, yes. Okay. I will say that the high side of that card is wish fulfillment, and satisfaction. It's a real card of satisfaction. The warning of that card is don't go overboard. 9 of Cups can be like drinking too much, eating too much, going too far. So it's saying, you can get wish fulfillment, you can get satisfaction, but like don't go overboard.
Okay.
So that's 9 of Cups. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Yolanda. I really appreciate you.
Gwendolyn. You're a sweetheart.
Yes,
It was
quite
awesome.
welcome.
You're amazing. Definitely.
Thank you.
You're so good.
Okay.
Thank you
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.